some flex in our knees, and as we go back, we will lose a little bit of that flex in our knee where our leg feels like it's straightening a little bit, but I don't want to just lock it out. What's going on, everybody? Scott Hogan coming at you. We are going to continue building your golf swing. We are going to take it from P2, which was the takeaway, all the way up to the top of the backswing, which would be P4 in our positions of how the golf swing works. Now, before we get into that, make sure if you did not watch our grip video and our address video, that you do that, and also watch our takeaway video, because as we've talked about, it is really important to understand that the golf swing is a sequence of events. So if the sequence gets off early, you're playing catch up throughout the rest of your swing. So if we can get things started well, you're gonna be in a much better position as we continue going on. Now we're gonna talk about going to the top of the backswing. So what are we talking about? What is that top of the backswing? Well, you remember we have P1 address, P2 takeaway. We are now going to go through P3, which is lead arm parallel to the ground, and P4, which is top of the backswing as we're going through. So we'll break this down again. We're going to do club and we're going to do body motion and go through those separately. So first we'll start it off with the body motion. So if you watch the takeaway video, you know the planes of motion that we can move in: our rotation, our tilt, our flexion, and extension. Again, if you did not watch that video, go do that. We go through all of that in that video. We need to realize that in the backswing, as we're continuing, if we get things started on a good path, then we are just continuing those motions to the top of the backswing. So that is why the takeaway is really, really important, because it's going to allow you to get everything started and then everything's already moving and you just keep going. You're gonna continue to turn, you're gonna continue to tilt, and you're gonna keep your flexion extension. You're not gonna lean backwards, we're not gonna lean forward. We're trying to keep that nice and zeroed out as we go up, just feeling like we're nice and up and down in our golf swing. A couple of goal numbers. We won't go too deep into it, but our goals are we want to try to get to 90 degrees of turn if we can. I will tell you this, it depends on how much flexibility you have. I typically get into the mid 80s. If I'm not feeling that loose, it's going to be lower 80s, but we definitely need to be getting as close to 90 as we can with our upper body. Our lower body, essentially you can turn your pelvis as much as you need to achieve that goal of 90. Now, one thing I want people to be careful of, when we are set up, we do have some flex in our knees, and as we go back, we will lose a little bit of that flex in our knee where our leg feels like it's straightening a little bit, but I don't want to just lock it out. That's not going to be super helpful, because then you're going to have to unlock it, get moving. It's just not a great athletic position to be in. So let that pelvis turn. If your leg starts straightening a little bit, that's fine, but don't lock it out. If you've locked out your leg with your trail leg, trying to turn your pelvis, then you can't turn your pelvis that far, and you basically at the end of your motion. So you either need to get more range of motion, or that's just where you're going to stop, which is typically what most people do. So just keep that in mind as you go through this. As far as tilts, we want to see the tilts. I like to see it anywhere from 20 degrees to 30 degrees. Some people will have more. I think a big mistake people see is they think, all right, I got to turn and stay in posture. So they actually start really increasing their tilts. I don't want that. What I want to see is if we're in our posture, we start turning and we're still tilting down to the ball, just stay there tilting. I don't want to increase it. The biggest mistake that I see is it's really hard to work with, because it's hard to get people out of, is increasing that tilt, because we got to get you to feel like you're turning more level. Now, the reason that's so hard is because I also don't want you to turn and keep turning and turning where you stand up and lose your tilt to the ball. So just making sure we turn while we're still tilting a little bit down to the golf ball is really what we want to see from the body. That's going to be it. You're just continuing on that motion as you're going through from the takeaway. Now let's get into club motion. So I'm going to do this in a couple ways, because there's not necessarily a right and a wrong way. I think there's easier and harder, but you just need to understand the matchups that you are looking for in your golf swing. So here's what I like to see. I'm going to break it down into what I like to see, and then we'll talk about a couple variations that you can have. So if I had the ideal golf swing, to me, you go back to Tiger 2001, 2002, now, even after 2000, he got even better before he started working around some injuries and all that stuff. His golf swing was so good, and what we saw at the top of the backswing was a couple of things. One, you'd see that big body motion, big turn, but you'd see the club up here, and you'd see the face be square. And what do we mean by square? Well, if you look at your lead wrist is going to be fairly flat at the top of the swing. So for me, that's my left wrist. The club face is going to match that pretty close. Okay, so see if I can get that in here for you. It's going to be pretty close. All right. It doesn't have to be exactly on, but it should be at pretty close of an angle up here at the top of the swing. That is what's going to get us square. The other thing you're going to see is that club is going to be pointing pretty much down towards your target. That is a great position to be, because now that club's going to want to just work back down and go around your body into the ball. That would be your classic kind of square, top of the backswing that a lot of people try to mimic. And I think it still holds true today as a great place to get to, if you can get there. That is a big caveat that we need. Now, how do we get there? How would we possibly get to that type of a backswing position? Well, again, you're going to need to have some body motion as we go through this. You've got to make sure you're turning enough. But what I like to see with the club and the arms is, what we need to realize is the club is going to work a lot more up in the golf swing. Your arm's major role in the swing is to get the club lifting. You have to get the club to go up. If you don't, you're going to be too flat, and it's going to be easy to come over the top. So what I typically see is people will think, all right, hey, I need to hit from the inside. I've got to swing from the inside of the golf ball. So I'm going to pull everything inside so it comes back out that way. Okay, not that bad of logic, it just doesn't work. What ends up happening is you bring your arms back, they're stuck to your body, and the only place they can go is over. Or you've got to do some crazy maneuvering with your body, a la early extension, loss of posture stuff, right? To be able to deliver the club anywhere from the inside, and you're not going to hit it very good if you do that. So what we need to do instead is get the club with our arms to work up. So it really feels like you're lifting the club a lot right in front of you, just like this. So this is a drill. If you ever see me play in some of my rounds, you'll see me do this, because I can struggle with this at times, just lifting the club up in front of you. So if I go back, I get the club in a good spot. From right here, it's just lift and turn. Lift and turn. If I'm still looking at the ball, you'll see that's a pretty good top of the backswing. Now, I don't get the longest backswing because I don't get as much turn. That is a big thing that we are looking at. How much turn are you generating as you go through? If you're somebody that doesn't generate a lot of turn, you might not see this club exactly point to the target, because if I turn less, you can see that club's going to actually point in more of a laid off position. If I turn a ton, you can see that club's actually going to point more across the line as we go. So something that you want to work on is lifting your arms and then turning your body. That is where we get to that top of the backswing position. So a great drill is if you just get set up. I don't want to stand up. I just want to lift my arms up in front of me. So I lift them up. I'm still bent over to the ball, and I'm going to turn. And that gets you into a pretty good spot here at the top of that backswing. And if I did that how I actually like to see people do it, lift them up, I'm going to turn and then shift back. Okay, lift it up, turn and shift back. All right, that is something that we want to look at as we're going through, is understanding that we are going to have different roles for different body parts as we go through our backswing. Now, I want to go through a couple of major issues that we'll see at the top of the backswing that I like to address. Again, there's a lot of room for kind of interpretation, I would say here, where we don't have to have that picture perfect backswing. Not everybody has it, and actually very few do it. But just from a theory standpoint, you can see where you're trying to get to. The biggest mistake that people make that really hurts their golf swing is their backswing is too long. And more specifically, their arms are outrunning their body. So a long backswing isn't a problem if you can do it through turn. If I can turn and keep my tilts, all of that stuff, then I am going to be still in good shape to hit the golf ball. But what most people do, especially now, there's a big craze about lengthening your backswing, and I'm not against that, but people are trying to lengthen their backswing and they just physically can't do it. So what they do is they go back and they start using their arms to get the club back there. So what ends up happening is they get this reverse spine, their spine is in too much extension, and their arms start breaking down. They start losing structure to their arms. So they're trying to make a longer backswing most of the time to try to hit it harder, but they're gonna hit it shorter because you're gonna hit it way worse, and you're actually losing all of your power. All that energy you're storing up, once you start bending back and losing it, you're not gonna get it, okay? So you're gonna have diminishing returns anyway. So what I like to see people do is, I want your backswing to be as far as you can turn. So again, we had our drill with lifting the club up, but if you're still struggling, all you need is an exercise band. So we're just gonna get it tight and we're gonna hold onto it here. And we're gonna make a backswing. And I'm just gonna go to the top where I don't go anywhere when that band is stretched. I can't go any farther, right? It's too hard. So I'm just going to turn back and feel that band be nice and stretched. That is a great drill to try to feel how far your backswing should go. Again, it should only go as far back as you are able to turn and move that body. And then a second thing that people will always be worried about when they get to the top of the backswing is the positioning of the club. So again, the big one I want to look at is if you are getting up to the top of your swing and this lead wrist is flat, but let's say the club is in a weird spot. So see how these are not matched up? My lead wrist is right here, but the face is pointing way up at the sky. That is a closed position. If you see the face pointing out in front of you, that is open. So what that's going to signify is that we have a grip problem. You have either a too strong of a grip or too weak of a grip. So when I see people get up to the top of their swing and this toe is basically vertical, the club is vertical here as far as the face is concerned, what you're going to see is that grip is too weak, so we need to strengthen it. Conversely, if it's really shut like that, and this again is flat, you would then see, hey, I have too strong of a grip. Now, if you get up here and you have a cupped wrist and the face is open, that is going to be more of that grip is in a better spot. You might need to work on how your hands are moving a little bit, but you have a good grip there. Or if you have a bowed wrist with a closed face, so again, you bow the wrist and the face is pointing at the sky, that is going to be, hey, the grip is probably pretty good. Again, it's just how you're moving your wrists and your forearms through your swing. So again, I would go back, if you don't like those positions, I would go back to the simple drill of getting a feel of where you need to get to. If you just go here to here, you're gonna feel where you need to have your positions, then you can work your way through the swing to try and get there. But those are a couple of the common situations I see that you can start looking for that'll help you at the top of your backswing. So we're getting deeper and deeper into the swing. Again, a lot more room for interpretation, a lot more things that we can look for, but stuff that you want to start understanding if you are trying to be a more efficient swinger of the golf club. You set these things up, the downswing gets a lot easier, which is what we're going to get into going with the transition all the way through into impact. So don't miss out on that. And again, we want to help you play your best golf in 2024. So hopefully this is going to take your game to another level. I know it's going to help you swing the club a lot more efficiently and better. So that should make things a lot easier for you when it's time to get out on the golf course. So if you have any questions about it, leave a comment down below. And again, check out our videos on the section of the swing. If you did not see those first couple, I will link those down below as well. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.